BBC World News Today. I'm Kasia Madeira. Our top stories. The UN Security Council unanimously backed tough new sanctions against North Korea, restricting its ability to import oil.
Today, for the 10th time, this council stands united against a North Korean regime that rejects the pursuit of peace.
Two former FIFA bosses are found guilty by a court in New York of accepting millions of dollars in bribes. A new fully automated computer system has been developed to track sexual predators from thousands of kilometres away. And coming up, from EU burgundy to British blue, the UK passport is set to change colour after Brexit. Hello and welcome to World News Today. The United Nations Security Council has passed tough new sanctions on North Korea that will cut oil supplies vital for Pyongyang's missile and nuclear programs. With China's backing, the Council unanimously adopted the US drafted resolution that also forces the repatriation of North Korean workers abroad, cutting off another revenue stream of Kim Jong-un's regime. Well, here's the US ambassador to the UN, Nikki Haley.
Today, for the 10th time, this council stands united against a North Korean regime that rejects the pursuit of peace. The Kim regime continues to defy the resolutions of this council, the norms of civilized behavior, and the patience of the international community. Their arrogance and hostility to anything productive has set their country on a destructive path.
Nikki Haley there. Well, our UN reporter Neda Tawfik says that these new measures are expected to have a dramatic impact on North Korea's economy.
Rex Tillerson said he wanted to see this. President Trump even called President Xi Jinping to say he wanted to see China cut off oil supplies. And so we've finally seen the Security Council, after taking tougher and tougher sanctions, get to this point. And just to give you a sense of how much this will bite in Pyongyang, in 2016, according to the United States, Pyongyang got 4.5 million barrels of refined petroleum. Now they're going to be capped at 500,000 barrels. So that's a nearly 90% cut to what is really a lifeline for Kim Jong-un's struggling economy, and also a lifeline and very vital part of his nuclear and missiles program. So that's what diplomats are hoping here, that if this doesn't, as past sanctions haven't, convince Kim Jong-un to abandon his nuclear program, that it will at least curb his ability to conduct some of these tests. But again, a unanimous decision here in the UN Security Council, with the U.S. Ambassador Nikki Haley saying that they will further put pressure on Pyongyang if he continues to defy Security Council resolutions.
Let's dissect these measures a little bit further. It's not just oil, is it? Talk us through what else is involved here.
Yeah, absolutely. This actually tells countries, particularly China and Russia, who are hosting 100,000 North Korean guest workers, it tells these countries that they have 24 months to pull them out. The UN has described these workers as toiling in slave-like conditions, and the North Korean regime heavily taxes them, so they actually take most of their earnings, and so that's trying to cut off that source of revenue. The resolution also tries to close some loopholes, so it allows countries to actually seize ships that they think are carrying illicit cargo from North Korea. And then it also kind of toughens some of the major exports from North Korea that past resolutions set out. So a further ban on textiles and coal, for example, two key important parts of North Korea's economy.
Neda Tawfik there, our UN correspondent in New York. Lots more analysis and reaction on our website. Now, a mix of guilty and not guilty verdicts have been handed down to three former FIFA officials accused of accepting millions of dollars in bribes. The trial in New York City was part of a United States investigation into corruption at the football governing body. Now, a short time ago, I spoke with our sports correspondent Richard Conway about these verdicts.
The jury has deliberated into its sixth day today. It came back into court shortly after 1 p.m. local time to tell the judge that they had partial verdicts on the defendants. What they came back with in the end, after some lengthy legal argument, was that Juan Angel Nauput, the former head of CONMEBOL, the South American Football Confederation, he is guilty on 3 of 5 5 corruption charges that he faced. Jose Maria Marin, the former head of Brazilian football, and another big figure within world football, he has been found guilty on 6 of the 7 counts that he faced relating to such charges as wire fraud, racketeering, conspiracy, and money laundering. So the one count against Manuel Berger, he was the head of the Peruvian FA, that is still undecided. The jury are going to have to come back to court on Tuesday to continue their deliberations against Manuel Berger on a charge of racketeering conspiracy. But a big victory ultimately in the 2 defendants that have been found guilty on a number of those charges for the US prosecutors. They've pursued this case now for close to 2.5 years following their action, which launched in May of 2015. Remember those dramatic dawn raids we saw in Zurich against FIFA officials in a 5-star hotel at 6 a.m. in the morning. That is where this all started. 42 people in total indicted, but these 3 men have pleaded not guilty, took it all the way to court, and now we have partial verdicts in these cases, which finds 2 of them guilty on a number of those counts.
Yes, and as you say, we expect that final decision on Tuesday for that final count. Richard, you've been following this for a long time. In terms of FIFA, in terms of the future, put this decision, put this verdict, these partial verdicts into context for us, would you?
Well, FIFA was absolutely blindsided back in May of 2015 when the raids first happened. I remember being sat in the hotel early in the morning and watching Jose Maria Marin, that former head of Brazilian football, being led away by the Swiss authorities on behalf of their American counterparts. He was extradited back to New York, and there was shock throughout the system that finally, what many had suspected had been going on within the game had caught up with it. The US authorities pursued these charges against a number of those people, 42 in total. 24 in total have now pleaded guilty. They are hoping to receive more lenient sentences in return for cooperating. Indeed, over the last 5 weeks, many of them have been inside this courtroom here in Brooklyn to give evidence against the 3 men. So that shows the lengths and the depths with which this has gone. FIFA, though, says this has got nothing to do with us. This is about South American contracts, about South American TV rights. It had nothing to do with us. It was only because these men were members of our organisation that we've been dragged into it. But lots of people say, no, the tone at the top was set and this was allowed to flourish. That's an argument that will be ongoing. US prosecutors, though, I think they will be quietly satisfied that they have managed to get those convictions on a number of the key charges against 2 of the men. They'll return to court next week to see if the jury can reach a decision on that final count against Manuel Berger.
Richard Conway there, and yes, we expect that final verdict to come in on Tuesday, just after Christmas. Now, this is a growing problem in countries like the Philippines. Children put to work in front of webcams, forced to perform sex shows for paedophiles who are watching on the other side of the world. In 2013, a Dutch NGO tried to find out just how big this problem was by using the fake online profile of a 10-year-old Filipino girl. They called her Sweetie. Well, more than 1,000 men offered her money. Now, there is a new project, this time targeting individual predators themselves. Angus Crawford investigates.
Online, undercover, searching chat rooms, looking for predators. Sweetie is back.
Always is about sex. And always about adults who want to talk about sex.
Look, he's British, like many others. And remember, they're talking to what they think is an 11-year-old girl. Remember this?
I'm not real.
The computer-generated model...
Back then, Sweetie needed human operators to type her chats online. The new version is different.
They're popping up, and it starts easy, and then bomb.
Fully automated, she can now handle hundreds of conversations at the same time. So you could be getting the information on thousands of men.
There is no end.
Sweetie's avatar has been retired and replaced by 2 new ones, sometimes being shown to predators via webcam. But we can't show you, or they'd be no use anymore.
They invite him into their house, which is the cyber sex den.
So why this new campaign? Here's why. In the Philippines, more and more children are being forced to sell to foreigners via webcam.
5 people were arrested, and there were more than 600 foreign customers in the network.
He has turned on his camera.
Sweetie first showed us the scale of the problem. Now the team is going on the offensive against men like this. He's naked and he thinks he knows you're just 12.
Exactly.
And he wants you
To be naked.
turn on your camera.
Yeah,
to be naked.
be naked as well.
I think he will take off his trousers.
Their details could be passed to the police. And they'll get a nasty shock. An automatic message sent straight to their inbox.
That will have a major impact on their behavior. We know who you are. We know where you are. We know what you want. Stop this.
Sweetie's job was to raise awareness, not catch criminals. This man, Australian Scott Hanson, was one of the few to be prosecuted. But in many countries, this kind of evidence doesn't count. Some police forces support the project, others don't.
Okay.
But the Sweetie team go on, scouring chat, turning the same technology used to exploit children back against the predators who seek them out. Angus Crawford, BBC News.
Let's bring you up to date with some of the other stories making the news today. Donald Trump has signed a $1.5 trillion tax bill into law before heading to his Florida resort for Christmas. The legislation cuts the corporate rate of tax from 35% to 21%, and it includes funds for missile defense. This is the biggest overhaul to the US tax system in decades. The price of Bitcoin has plummeted by 30% in just one day, marking the worst week for the cryptocurrency since 2013. It follows days of high-profile security problems at two exchanges, as well as stark warnings from global regulators about the risks posed by cryptocurrencies. The Ugandan army has attacked rebel camps in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo. The rebel group, known as the Allied Democratic Forces, has set up camps on the border with Uganda. It has been blamed for a recent deadly attack on UN peacekeepers in the DRC. The fourth election in as many years